Hello. Looks like we're starting to get a couple of people joining us here. First off, I want to wish every one of you guys a very, very happy new year. It's exciting to close out 2019 and start 2020, and I hope that we can all learn from everything that happened to us in 2019. We can learn from any of our mistakes so the same ones don't happen again, and so we can learn from our successes so that we can get even more. We can handle things even better. So hopefully we learn from everything that's happened to us, and hopefully we all start out and get 2020 rolling just the way we want. Appreciate y'all taking the time today to join me. Sure, you guys have some things going on with friends and family. I hope everybody had a very happy Yule. It was certainly really busy out here. We had a lot of stuff going on at the Hoff and a lot of things happening this Yule. So it's good to get back with you guys and get back from all the celebrating and back to work, back heading forward. Thank you, Stephen. I try. I appreciate that. So, the big news and the big thing is starting today, we're going to spend the rest of the year celebrating the Asatru Folk Assembly's 25th anniversary. That's really something when you stop and think about it. It's been a quarter of a century that the AFA has been serving our gods and our folk. It's really something to be said. We live in a time where a lot of things, come and go, and there's a lot of change, a lot of groups that claim to be Asatru start up and fade away and disappear, and the landscape in Asatru has changed so much. But to have that constant of the Asatru Folk Assembly being there since 1995 it's really a testament to what we're doing and to our church. So we're extremely excited about that. We're going to spend the entire year celebrating. We're going to try to, share pictures and articles and things about our history and where we've come from. And we're just so very thankful to everybody that put blood, sweat, and tears into making the AFA what it is. The story of the AFA involves so many people. Steve and Sheila built this thing. They spent uncountable hours and a huge amount of their lives getting this started, moving it forward, developing everything we have today. And over the years, there have been so many people who've helped out, who've contributed. We're fortunate to have a lot of those people with us still. Some we've lost, some have passed, but quite a few have just gone their own ways. But wherever they are, they're all part of the tapestry that made the AFA what it is today, and we're really proud of that. We're proud of where we came from. We're proud of where we are, and we're very excited about where we're going. So it's really a special time. And again, we're going to kick off a year of celebration. Oh, Rob, thanks. I'm glad you liked it. I hope it came off well. Steve and I were both, it was a mess. We were up at the Hoff and we didn't have internet service. So one of our members had a room at the local Brownsville motel there. So Steve and I crammed in there around his laptop and tried to get it figured out, and the camera wasn't working, and I got on my phone, and it took a little bit of doing, but we were really, really honored to be able to be on the Red Ice Yule. Those people have always been great. Henrik and Lana have been fantastic to us over the years, and really appreciate being asked to be on their show, even if we didn't have all our tech stuff squared away. So hopefully it worked out all right. I'm glad you were able to catch that. Oh, we're glad to have you with us, Terry. It looks like you had a good time at Yule with Trent and them. I'm glad you're getting to do stuff with those guys. It's really exciting to see things happen in your area, and I'm glad you joined us tonight. Just taking a look to what we have over in the chat. We got a whole lot of people joining us. It's nice that we've got so many of you guys here. Checking to see if I have anything coming in over here also. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with what we're doing this evening. Does anybody have any questions? Is there anything anybody wants to start right off the bat getting going on? Anybody have anything to ask or anything they want any kind of commentary on or anything they want us to talk about tonight? Sean, okay, so good. I'm going to start out with a hard hitting question. Would fighting the defamation against the AFA be a waste of funds? I wish that I had an answer that was more pleasing, but yes, absolutely it would be right now. Certainly with the scope of the funds that we have. One of the difficult realities that we've had to face in the AFA as far as just looking at how we're developing, unfortunately, the enemy is able to often get away with things that they shouldn't be able to. It's very easy for them to defame the AFA. It's very easy for them to libel and slander us. While all those things are not good, in order for us to pursue anything legally, takes a tremendous amount of money. Takes an awful lot of money to get a lawyer on retainer to handle something of that scope. And then we face countless legal fees for as long as there are continuances and circumstances moving us forward that eventually it's just more than we're currently able to pursue in that avenue. So I've talked with Alan Turnage, our law speaker. Alan is a lawyer in his own right, and we're always trying to figure out what the best thing to do when those situations arise. But as it stands now, when newspapers or other organizations or groups want to defame the Asatru Folk Assembly, it's currently not an economic reality for us to start having lawsuits and things like that happen. It's unfortunate, but that is what we face, and got to deal with what we have, not what we wish we had. Where's the next big event? So a couple of things. Coming up in January, on January 24th to the 26th, Thorfest is going on in Colorado. That's kind of a local event, but there'll be people from many areas outside of that. Let me rephrase. It's a regional event, but there'll be many people from outside of that locality going to it. I'm going to be driving over for it. Our folk builder, Jason Flirt over there, does a very good job of putting this on. It's going to be his second event, and I'm really the second Thorfest event. I'm really looking forward to it. That's coming up the 24th and 26th of this month, and that's in Colorado. There's also going to be a Charming of the Plow. That's a regional event that I'm also planning to go to up in Leavenworth, Washington, and that's in the beginning of February, and I'm excited about that. The next national event is in March, and that's going to be in South Carolina. So that's going to be Ostara in the South. I'm looking forward to seeing folks there if you can make it. Chase, that may be a little ways from you, but that's in your region. Looks like we can get you there, and we'd love to see you there. Huge. How do you get vetted to attend AFA events? First, you're already vetted if you're an AFA member. That's fine. If you're not an AFA member, you need to contact whoever's hosting the event, usually the folk builder in that area. But if you contact your folk builder, they can get you in touch and they can get that process going. We welcome a lot of people. We'd be happy to have folks that aren't yet AFA members attend a lot of our events, but all of our events are family events. We've got kids, we've got families there, and we want to make sure that people who attend, we know a little bit about who they are, where they're coming from, and we can keep everybody safe and make sure there's no disruptions. So I appreciate you asking that. If any of you guys are not AFA members and you want to attend AFA events, get with your local folk builder. If you don't know how to do that, at www.runestone.org, we have a contact page. Any folk builder you get a hold of, they'd be happy to get you shuffled to who you need to get to, get you vetted and set up. So hopefully we can see you at an event. Cameron, if you could narrow that down a little bit. You asked about religious observations for everyday living. If I don't hear back, I'll try to say something about it. But if you could clear that up just a little bit so I know exactly what you're talking about, I think I could do a better job of answering the question. Pam, let's talk about how great 2020 will be. 2020 is going to be fantastic. We've got some really good things going on behind the scenes right now that are pretty exciting. I've told you guys already that we're going to get a second Hoff going very soon. I know I've been saying it for a long time. I promise I've been working this whole time on making that happen. There's been a lot of developments on that front recently. So I'm very confident that 2020 will absolutely see us with our second Hoff. I'm pretty excited, and like I say, I've got some really good things going on the back end right now that are looking very favorable for that moving forward. So we're very excited about it. Another huge thing in 2020 is our youth program. Now, the AFA youth program evolved out of Votan's Wolves. That was a program that Cole and Tiffany Distel started. And for as long as I've been involved in Asatru, people wanted to have a youth program or something to do with the kids, and everybody was waiting for the right time, the right amount of kids, the right amount of spots to make it happen. And I was really proud to see Cole and Tiffany step up and just do it and just make it happen. And kids loved Votan's Wolves. It was a really nice thing, but it grew so big, it got a little bit bigger than they were prepared for. And they asked if the AFA would step up and take the ball and run with it and move it forward. So the AFA youth program has evolved from that. Brandy and Jessica are running that, and it's got oversight certainly from our Gothar. They're starting this year's assignments today, and we're very excited about that. If anyone out there has kids that they would like to be involved in the AFA youth program, please send messages to youth@runestone.org, and Brandy and Jessica would be happy to help guide you through that process and get you guys set up. New Year's resolutions. All right. So they're extremely serious in Asatru. They can be. One of the things, when you make an oath and you swear to do something, it's not just you committing to trying to do it, it's you promising that you'll follow through on it. Sam, this is to answer your question as far as, it shouldn't just be done on New Year's, they should be done throughout the year. That's certainly true. And it's very important that you follow through on any oaths and resolutions that you make. But that said, New Year's is a really opportune time to start fresh, to have a clean slate moving forward, and to progress on things that you've recognized within yourself that you want to make better. I would encourage all of us to look into ourselves and our lives and figure out things we want to improve, things this year we're going to resolve to tackle, to accomplish, and to overcome. We should acknowledge those, we should resolve to fix them, and the ones that we want to put our most effort behind, if it's something reasonable for us to accomplish, we should oath into doing that. And then at the end of the year, hopefully we can have this conversation 365 days from now, and you guys can tell me all the accomplishments that you followed through on. I certainly hope I'll be able to do that in my own life. Jess, looks like you're added to the chat now. I'm not sure if you asked a question earlier, but I see you now. If you could ask again, I'd be happy to try to get to anything that you may have asked. Oh, Malinka, don't apologize about hot topics. It's good to have serious conversations here. As far as forgiveness goes, other faiths may demand forgiveness. Forgiveness may be one of their great virtues or an obligation of other faiths. Just because it's not in Asatru doesn't mean we should function without forgiveness. It doesn't mean we should be such hard-hearted people that we are beyond the ability to forgive. One of the things I talk about, us being Aryan people, Aryan meaning noble, we should have a certain amount of grace with us that we can forgive things, that we can rise above and offer forgiveness for folks that have done things wrong. But one of the things that really separates Asatru from some other faiths is the forgiveness isn't unconditional. We forgive based on people's trying to rectify things they've done wrong. If you break something, you're to do the best you can to fix it or to make whatever you broke whole again. Now, there's a lot of things you can't take back and you can't fix completely evenly, but there's something to be said for the effort of making it right. It's the whole principle our ancestors had of Weregild, um, is trying to balance the ledger. And if the party wanting forgiveness tries to make it right, then certainly there's forgiveness in Asatru. But it's on each noble, lady and gentleman of Asatru to choose when they choose to forgive or when they cannot accept forgiving. And as noble people, that's our ability to choose. And I think that's really important and an important distinction in Asatru. You asked, what's our position on the death penalty? Um, I don't think there's any great unified position on the concept of the death penalty. Certainly in Asatru, there have been times where it's completely an appropriate response to a transgression. And so I think in a lot of ways, Asatru is not, I would never posit that Asatru is opposed to the death penalty. Um, but I also don't think it's demanded all the time and for all things. Again, I would balance it with what I spoke about earlier on forgiveness. What could people in charge of doling out sentences do to right a wrong that's been committed? And perhaps in some instances, that's the death penalty. Perhaps in others, that's a certain amount of restitution. That's a certain amount of trying to make something you've done right by repairing what's been broken. And I think with most things, that depends on the judgment of a particular situation under particular circumstances. But I don't think that Asatru always demands a death penalty, but we're certainly not opposed to the concept of a death penalty. Okay, this just in. Apparently, we'll be having elk steaks on the 24th. If you are fortunate enough to join us at Thorfest, that sounds pretty exciting. I'm glad to know that's on the docket this year. Also, apparently, there's some amazing auction items, and I believe that at AFA events, we've got some really crafty folks and some guys that put some really amazing things in our auctions. So, if you attend an event, make sure you come prepared because there may be some really nice things on that auction table. And any money raised from the auction goes towards the AFA. It goes towards paying off Hoffs and accomplishing our mission. So we're appreciative of anyone who donates to our auctions. Certainly anyone who purchases items at our auctions. Yeah, keep that in mind if you're coming to Thorfest. Come hungry for elk steaks and come with a full wallet for some auction items. Huge. We are absolutely family friendly. The AFA is all about building strong and healthy families. 2019 has been a landmark year for AFA babies being born. My wife may jump in and correct me, but I think we had 22 or so babies born in the AFA in 2019. I think we've got 14 already scheduled to arrive in 2020. So yeah, the AFA is absolutely all about families. Our events are absolutely for families, and we hope you guys all bring your families out to our events. If you want to participate in the mead competition at Ostara, contact Lane Ashby, our folk builder down in Florida. He's trying to get that all squared away. Hopefully, we get some fantastic meads there. Hopefully, I will get to sample some. Any events in Arizona? It's a really good question. I would love to see an event happen in Arizona. Right now, we don't have the infrastructure and we don't have any big events planned in Arizona, but up in Colorado is not too terribly far. I mean, in the scope of the world from you. Hopefully, you can make it up next month or this month. It's already the first. Hopefully, you can make it up this month to Thorfest. If you do, we'd love to see you there. And Jason Plurd, who's hosting Thorfest and who's been active in our chat tonight, he's your folk builder in Arizona, and he could help you get a little bit more squared away on Arizona things as well. All right, Cameron, some of your questions tonight have just been a little bit broad. The more you narrow them, the better I can address them. But the point you asked about negative stigmas and what we can do to portray ourselves in a better light and put our morals and our values in the open more. The best thing we can do is by living our values daily. As individuals, if we consider ourselves Asatru, and not just that, but members of the Asatru Folk Assembly and all the things that we do, in the kinds of sons we are, and the kinds of husbands we are, in the kinds of employees, in the kinds of employers, in the customers, or whatever we are in life, we should be Asatru at all of those times. We should be living our values and how we conduct ourselves always. And one thing I found really useful, I mean, that all may sound esoteric, but it's absolutely true. But what I found useful is doing those things while proudly wearing your hammer, while wearing an AFA pin. So when people ask, after they've noticed you being a stand-up person and a noble individual, hey, what's that? You proudly tell them, you're Asatru. This is the hammer of Thor. Or see those tri-horns? That's my church. It's the Asatru Folk Assembly. I think the best thing we can do is live those examples in our life. And perception is really important. So I think we should try to present ourselves the best we can. I think we should speak politely. I think we should speak with good, bright words. I think we should try to look our best. We should try to be in the best shape we can be in. We should try to look the best we can at all times so that when people see us, we're a shining example of those values. But I think actions speak a lot louder than words. So living a noble life is the most important thing we can do to combat any negative stereotypes or stigmas that people may have. Congratulations, Rob. We're very excited for you. Jess, that's a good question. So you asked about infidelity in a marriage. I think a lot of the time, the particulars of a marriage and those folks' commitment to one another and what things, I don't know, how they handle those issues are a personal matter that we try not to get in the middle of. But I think the idea of loyalty is an extremely important one in all things involved in Asatru. I think the most important key issue as far as infidelity in a marriage when it comes to Asatru is your loyalty and the bond that you have with your partner as far as you guys being a team. That loyalty and that ability to be trusted by your partner is at the core of any relationship in Asatru, and as such is very important. the ability for two people in a marriage to trust one another and to count on each other's loyalty. That's the core of being able to build a strong family and raise kids in a safe and protected environment to where they can develop loyalty themselves. So I think it becomes really a question of loyalty and of trust. Age requirements for the youth program, between 6 and 17. We're also working on developing stuff for kids under the age of 6, but it's not quite in the same way like the youth program. It's going to be more on tools and things parents can use to help teach those real little kids stuff that prepares them for the youth program in the future. Shannon, you can reach out direct to me here on Facebook if you're not already my Facebook friend. Not sure if you are or you aren't, but send me an invite after this if you want. That would probably be, one of the easiest ways. You could also email me at Matt Flavel, MattFlavel at runestone.org, and I'd be happy to try to help you out there. So please do reach out, Shannon, because I'd like to talk to you about whatever you need to talk about. Rob, we look forward to seeing your leather handmade items that you said you're going to send with Swan down to Ostara. Not sure if you're doing those for individual sale or something for the auction, but Rob is a great craftsman and he makes really beautiful things. Fernando, I'm not sure what you're asking. No, at present, we're not asking any money for streaming. As far as friends, as far as any gatherings in New Hampshire, I don't know of any in New Hampshire right now, but closest stuff we have to you going on is our Stone Ship Hearth in Massachusetts. Those guys are really solid and they have a lot of things going on there. If you can travel a little bit and you're willing to get a little bit out of your way, the folks in Massachusetts are doing some really good things up there. If you reach out to your folk builder, Clifford Erickson, either here or C. Erickson at runestone.org, he'd be really happy to get you squared away and in contact with our Massachusetts folk. Crystal says you don't practice Asatru, you live it. I think that's really important. It's Asatru is not about theory. The core of Asatru is certainly not about theory, and it's not about study. Those things are really important. But what the core of Asatru is action and living, and how you conduct yourself and how you live your life. And I think that's something we would all do well to keep in mind. Spud, I would encourage you to reach out to Sheila McNowan at sheila@runestone.org or to Ryan Harlan, rharlan at runestone.org. Those are the folk builders out here, out in AFA West, and specifically the two of them live in California, and they would be very, very happy to try to connect you with Southern California members. We've got a lot of members in California, and I think we could get you some really good connections if you reach out to them. Hopefully after this, we can try to link you guys up. Antonius, There's not any AFA learning groups that I know about, or language learning groups that I'm aware of specifically, although a lot of our people are learning languages on Duolingo. Duolingo is a really good program. Best thing I've ever found to try to learn languages. So, yeah, I know some of our people try to link up on there, and I think they've got a couple different groups going on Duolingo to kind of share their progress. But that's what I think most folks are doing when they're trying to learn languages in the AFA. Cameron is asking what steps can be taken to start work on an Indiana Hoff. So, several different things. In order for there to be an AFA Hoff in Indiana, we need to see a lot of activity in the area. We need to see regularity of folks doing events and being willing to show up and volunteer and contribute. It would be nice to see some kindreds in the area. Now we have one long-standing AFA kindred in Indiana, Heimdall's Midgard kindred, and that's a great start for that. But we really need to have solid folks there that have been around for some time, that have put in consistent effort, so we know that a Hoff that we would get there would be well taken care of and would have folks able to attend and make it successful long into the future. We want to be really responsible and think really hard before we decide where we're putting Hoffs. And that'd be the thing I would suggest most about getting a Hoff in Indiana. The other thing is, and this sounds strange, but it's absolutely true. The best way to get a Hoff in Indiana is to donate and try to help get the next Hoff established wherever it winds up being established. Contributing to the current Hoff being worked on and being purchased is the best way to get a Hoff closer to you, because as I've vowed before, as soon as we finish with one, we start immediately on trying to make that other one happen. It's our goal, and it's something that we will do, is establishing Hoffs around the globe, throughout Midgard, and certainly throughout the country here in the United States. So if you want one in your area, try to support the current one that's getting worked on, and try to build a solid community to where it's a solid place for us to invest in a Hoff. Paul, Loki is bad because he is allied with the forces of chaos in opposition to the forces of order, the Aesir. Loki is constantly a source of acting against the order that the Aesir try to provide in the world, and teams up with the forces of entropy and the forces of destruction, and that's antithetical to everything we're trying to do in Asatru and in the Asatru Folk Assembly. April is remarking that some of our ladies better start making more baby blankets. For anybody that's not aware, that's a really beautiful thing that the AFA ladies have taken upon themselves, is our ladies make baby blankets for every new child born into the Asatru Folk Assembly. And so when they get born, they get sent a blanket with a little tag on it saying that they're made by the women of the Asatru Folk Assembly. That's kind of a really special way to welcome children into our church, into our AFA family, and show them that, there's people out there that they haven't even met yet that care about them, and that, want to wrap them in that loving warmth that blanket represents. Jess, there are plenty of other symbols, but Thor's hammer is absolutely a symbol for both men and women. It's showing that under the hallowing sign of Thor, that's the symbol of our faith. Certainly in the past, that was a standard symbol of Asatru in opposition to Christianity as it was encroaching. But the importance of Thor's hammer, it's not just a weapon. Thor would use the hammer to hallow things. It was a symbol used to to hallow weddings. In the lore, he would use it to resurrect his goats each day. Um, that hammer is not only the strength to defend against things that want to encroach upon that order that I talked about a minute ago, but it's a sign of the divinity and the holiness of the Aesir and their authority over chaos and their ability to stand against chaos. So Thor's hammer is certainly appropriate for men and women of Asatru to wear to show their loyalty to the Aesir. Clint, any of our AFA Gothar are officially ordained and completely legally certified to perform AFA weddings. So if that's something you're interested in, I encourage you to reach out to them. Antonius, in order to be an AFA kindred, every member of the kindred needs to be a member of the Asatru Folk Assembly. Certainly every adult member. I don't know how you would develop your kindred or if you would have people under the age of 18 that were members, but in order to be an AFA member, they do need to be over 18. But assuming they're eligible for AFA membership age-wise, then yeah, every member of your kindred would need to be an AFA member if it's to be an AFA kindred. Also, this year we're starting to have a probationary period to where we get enough time to where a kindred really knows that being affiliated with the AFA is something that they want, and to where both sides are very comfortable with that, because we want our kindred to stick around for a long time and that relationship to be really something special. It takes three adult AFA members to start an AFA kindred. And Jason Gallagher is the man you want to talk to about that. And he can get you all squared away and tell you the particulars and even help you in the process if it's something that you're developing. Sean, South African outreach. We've got Volkswagen Kindred in South Africa, and they're working right now on a couple of different things. They've already gone in a number of times now to distribute food and blankets directly from the AFA to folks in the squatter camps over there. I believe they've gone to 2 different camps, but I'm not certain, and I got to check on that. So that's currently an ongoing project. Christo, our folk builder over there, is always looking for a better way to do that, or ways that are going to be the most efficient at helping people out over there. But yeah, that Volkswagen Kindred is really digging into that. They're also looking at some community farming ideas and some other things that way. So those guys have their eye on the ball on that. Jess, which languages are AFA members learning? I know of some learning Latin. I know some learning French. I know of a lot learning German. I know people who've tried Russian and Swedish on Duolingo. So that's what I know as far as that goes. Yes, the AFA is international. We have members right now in 16 countries. Sorry, guys. You guys have asked so many questions tonight. I'm having to go over and catch up on the chat a little bit. Welcome, Blaine. I'm glad you joined us tonight. We have talked a little bit about Ostara in the South, but I'd love to talk a little bit more. Blaine would be a great idea, a great person for you guys to reach out. He's been very instrumental in planning Ostara in the South this year. I believe it's kind of go back in my head and think how many there have been right now. I think this is the 6th Ostara in the South. It's going to draw people from all up and down the entire southern half of the East Coast. It's going to be in the Carolinas for the 3rd time. So it's going to be a nice spot for people from all over to kind of centrally locate to. I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a really big year for Ostara in the South. We've had a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and growth certainly in the AFA's Upper South region this last year. It's by far been our most dynamic region as far as people joining and being excited, and so much activity. So we've got a lot going on. That's one of the, like I said, that's the most active region as far as growth has been in this last year. So I'm really excited to see all of the new faces at Ostara in the South. There's going to be a lot of AFA leadership there. I think probably the most Gothar at any AFA event of this next year may be at Ostara in the South. I know we got a lot of our Gothies and a few of our Githia going to be there. So Ostara in the South, something you all should make in March if you can. Is there anything else folks want to talk about tonight? Anything been on your guys' mind? Anything you want to make sure I address or we get going forward here in 2020 as we spend the year celebrating the AFA's 25th anniversary? I'll say it out here in case anybody else has missed it or is joining us a little bit later. Like I said, one of our big things that we're doing is the youth program this year. Brandy and Jessica have put a lot into getting this established and getting January's curriculum all set up. I'm very excited about it. If any of you listening to this have kids age between 6 and 17, please send a message to youth@www.runestone.org, and we would really like to see your kids getting involved in that. That's our future. That's what the AFA is going to look like in the next generation. It would be really, really nice to get these kids raised up in this, so that they're so much further ahead of the game when they're our age, and it's really exciting to see that develop. I've mentioned before, the AFA is all about families and moving that forward, and one of the big things we've been focusing on is the idea of immortality. The key to that immortality is building something that'll be here for our children and for our children's children, and that's really what we're doing, and that's at the heart of the AFA Youth Program. So I'm really excited to watch how that develops, and I would encourage anybody who wants to be involved to send an email, and let's see what we can do. Shannon, holding things. I know that some Asatru, that's a big thing to them. No pun intended. I know that the Asatru Alliance is really big on that, and they host an all thing every year, going back for decades. In the traditional sense of a thing being a legal court or a place where legal precedents are decided upon, I can't say that happens too often in a very tangible and real way. I've never been to a Asatru Alliance all thing, so I'm not sure how things are conducted there, but I would say that's fairly rare in today's Asatru. Jess, it is common for AFA members to have spouses of a different faith. No offense to anybody, though it is common, it's not the recommended, it's not the optimal situation. But we find ourselves in a time where so many of us are just coming home to Asatru. We have a lot of people that are already in marriages long established when they find Asatru. So a lot of people are in that situation, and a lot of the times their spouse will come around. They'll see the impact that Asatru has made in a person's life, and it'll really show them an example of great things that occur when you're loyal to our gods. So a lot of the time people start out with a spouse of a different faith, and their spouse will come over and join us and be part of what we do and be part of Asatru. So that is common, but more and more, what's been very exciting to see is folks are finding their mate within Asatru and within the Asatru Folk Assembly. We've had a big surge in people meeting people and falling in love and starting families with folks they've met at AFA events. I know that was my case with myself and my wife Mandy. So that the face of that is changing as we mature as a faith. So Antonius, I need you to reach out to Sean Sandin. Reach out to reach out to Sandin at runestone.org, or find VB Sean here on Facebook and hassle him until he gets that merchandise cranked out. Anybody who doesn't know, Sean runs the AFA merchandise. It's a labor of love with him and some help of family and friends out of his garage. He does an amazing job with that. It really is a one-man show, and he's able to do really amazing things for us. So we're very appreciative of what Sean does. And seriously, do reach out to him because he's got plans for a lot of really nice things. Christian, I'm sorry. I'm not sure when you say Northern traditionalists. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you could clarify a little bit, I'd be able to. I'll do my best to try to answer you. Aaron, that's the attitude we like. We'll send them all to you, and hopefully we can get some really good things going on in Michigan. Will, as far as funds for repairs and upkeep at Odenshoff, yeah, we absolutely need help with that. Anybody who wants to help with that, there's a donate link button at www.runestone.org where you can donate specifically to the upkeep of Odenshoff, and it's always appreciated. What can folks do to make those funds? I wish there was a more exciting answer, but what needs to happen is people who care need to just be generous and donate. This is kind of a good time to talk about it. One of the best things, or the things that's really helped us move forward in 2019, was people starting to contribute to the Asatru Folk Assembly by our Hoftoller. The Hoftoller is a percentage-based giving where instead of monthly membership dues, as a church, people would donate a percentage of their income to us. As little as 1%, as much as you'd like, but donating based on percent allows us all to share in each other's hardship, but also to share in each other's success and each other's increase. We've had such an amazing ability to move forward in 2019 because people have been so generous and stepped forward wanting to contribute that way. It often doesn't seem like a huge sum. 1% isn't a big deal to a lot of people, but it's a huge deal to us. And it just skyrockets our ability to do things, our ability to get new Hoffs, our ability to take care of the Hoffs we have, and really shine them up into temples to our gods as they ought to be. So I think, Will, that's going to be the thing, is getting folks, and specifically with Odenshoff, to get folks in the AFA West region to contribute by Hoftoller. I think if we saw our members do that, the money to work on the roof and the bathrooms and things that we need at Odenshoff would come through very, very quickly if we got people to be willing to contribute in that way. Malenka, of course there's a place for childless women and couples in the Asatru Folk Assembly. I have been in the Asatru Folk Assembly for a really long time, and it's just this last year in 2019 that that we got pregnant, and my wife's pregnant with our first and only so far child. So and we're both up there. We're both 38 years old. So there's absolutely a place for folks that don't have children in the Asatru Folk Assembly, or certainly for folks that can't have children in the Asatru Folk Assembly. Just because we celebrate having children and we want them around and we want all of our people to have these great families, that doesn't mean that we don't value people that aren't able to do that. No, there's absolutely a place for folks that don't have kids in the Asatru Folk Assembly. So Jason points out, guys, the AFA is an actual church. We're legally recognized, and as such, folks have a legal right to practice Asatru in the Asatru Folk Assembly and to not be discriminated against for doing so. And as an official 501c3 church, a lot of protections are afforded to us in this country. And that's something really to keep in mind. And it's something that so far employers and other folks in schools, folks in a lot of places have shown a tremendous amount of respect and restraint for not wanting to mess with that. There's a power that comes with being part of a legitimate church. And Jason just wanted to kind of remind you guys about that. If folks have concerns ever or whatever, there's a power, there is a protection with that. And that's something you guys, should be aware of and help make you feel a little bit more comfortable. Gene, I would encourage you to message youth@runestone.org and ask them the question about what you can do for younger children below the age of 6 that still want to learn and get kind of primed for the program. That's something we have talked about, and the ladies there have some advice on it, so do reach out to them. Kyle, we do not currently have any kindreds in New Jersey, but we would love to see one happen. Closest kindred to you is Lansdale True Folk over in Pennsylvania, but they're not far from you. And if you emailed your folk builder, Clifford Erickson, Erickson@runestone.org, he would be really happy to get you connected and see about helping you with that New Jersey kindred if it's something that you want to start and get rolling. Okay, guys, sorry, I'm checking over here on the chat to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Christian, I'm not sure of folks in the AFA that are Northern traditional shaman or do a lot of Northern traditional shamanic medical practices. Again, I'm not really familiar with what you're asking, but that's not something I've heard a lot of interest in, or that we have practitioners of that. We may very well. It's just not something that I'm particularly aware of. Shannon, sorry to leave you hanging on the friend request. I will absolutely accept the friend request, and then please do send me a message if you do have anything that you need to ask or that you want to ask me privately. I would be very happy to do what I can to answer it, and honored that you want to reach out and hear what I have to say about something. So, anybody else have questions tonight or anything they want to talk about? Like I said, we're going to be spending all of this year celebrating 25 years of the Asatru Folk Assembly. It's a very, very exciting time. We've got the first quarter of a century in the history books now. We've got a beautiful, beautiful foundation to build upon, to stand upon. We've got something that folks have worked very, very hard to build and to provide for us. We always need to be extremely mindful of that legacy and of protecting it, preserving it, and doing honor to those who've come before and have paved the way for us to have the nice things that we have. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do, what we can accomplish together in 2020. Um, it's really a good time to be involved in Asatru, and it's an amazing time to be part of the AFA. Anybody else have any questions tonight before I let you guys go? I appreciate you guys joining me. I look forward to these every single month. Um, this makes 1 year. This is been doing this solidly for 1 year now. These live chats. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Um, trying to give you guys a little bit more notice about them. I know some of them I've popped up on you this last year very quickly with very little notice. Glad you guys show up and ask questions, and hopefully I've gotten all of them. Like I say, if I go back over this and I find ones that I've missed, I'm going to try to go back over, the next day or so and make sure I answer any of those things. If you can, please make it to Thorfest. If you can, please make it to Charming of the Plow in Washington State. And by all means, please do what you can to get to Ostara in March. I would love to see you guys there. Dates for Ostara in March. Now I'm on the spot, and I gotta try to look. If anybody out there has a date for those, if they could go ahead and put it up, I will check in the meantime here. It's probably a good thing to have figured out beforehand. I do got the dates for Thorfest, but I wasn't thinking as far out to Ostara. All right. Star in the South 2020 is going to be March 13th through March 15th. So if you can make it, we would love to see you there. Tell you what, that's what really changed my life. I was largely by myself up in Alaska trying to get things rolling. I was excited to join the AFA, but wasn't part of something, I didn't feel part of something that much bigger than myself until I made the effort to go to my first midsummer. And I believe that was midsummer of 2009. It was life-changing. It opened my eyes to the amazing family that the Asatru Folk Assembly is. I made friends and connections there that I have to this day and that I cherish. Going to your first AFA event is a huge thing. It absolutely changed my life. I know it changed a lot of folks' lives. If you can make it to an AFA event, if you can come out, please do. It's never something I hear about people regretting. It's always something that people are very excited that they did. And like I say, you connect with family that may be across the country, but they'll be family to you from that point on. We really are part of a very special network and very special family, and you feel that at those events. All right. If nobody has anything else, I think we'll call it a night. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for being here and being with us to celebrate 25 years of the Asatru Folk Assembly. I am very excited about the things we'll be able to accomplish together here in 2020, and the future is very, very bright. Thank you guys all. Hope you have an amazing evening, and let's hit this new year. Let's hit the ground running. Hail the gods, hail the folk, hail the AFA.